That's right, friends. This is Retire Smart Austin Radio with Phil Capriotti Sr. He is the founder of Empower Wealth and Tax. I'm your host, Spike Spengel. Every single week, we like to talk about retirement planning, income planning, tax planning, estate planning, generational wealth planning tools and ideas for folks with high net worth who are serious about retirement planning. Mr. Phil Capriotti Sr., it is great to see you. How you doing, buddy?
Spike, it's always a pleasure, my friend, and it's a pleasure to be with you, and it's a pleasure to work with you. We've really been doing a lot of good work according to the responses I've been getting. Folks coming into the office, you know what? Yeah, I need you guys. My current advisor doesn't do this, doesn't do that, and I understand it. You do it all, right, in one venue, right, from one company. You have licensed departments and tax department, legal department, and so forth, insurance and annuities and all. And I was like, absolutely right, come on in. The Morningstar Report and Portfolio Observation, Spike, I'm telling you, these folks are loving it. I've been getting so much, my entire staff say, you know, after we were finished reviewing our Morningstar report on our portfolio and your recommendations, it all made sense. We saw it clearer than ever. And you see, folks, if you don't understand your portfolio, you need to be taught to understand it. You have to understand that this is your wealth. You've worked your entire life. Call our office. Come on in. Let's have a little coffee together and let's talk about how we can improve your portfolio's management and make it more tax efficient.
You can call the phone number and get started on your own complete review from the team here. There's absolutely no cost to it. 855-348-5157. You're listening to Phil Capriotti Sr. of Empower Wealth and Tax, and this is Retire Smart, both Austin Radio and YouTube. Hey, by the way, if you are listening to us on the radio, I know that a lot of times you're driving around doing your errands here on the weekends. If you want to see Phil long form, there's a few different ways. You can go to his YouTube channel, literally just type in Empower Wealth and Tax, literally all just like that, Empower Wealth and Tax. But you can also come to his live events. We update that on the website, empoweringretirement.com, or you can just click on those videos. Man, you've done stuff on Social Security, taxes, which we want to talk about today. Of course, your investment strategy. But a phrase I brushed on right in the open, I just want to let you talk about it freeform a little bit. You've been discussing a bit the concept on high net worth, and that having a private capital advisor is different than just saving on your own, than just using your 401k provider, maybe even an investment broker of some sort. That as you accumulate a higher worth, it becomes a lot more complicated, and you really need to have a team behind you. That's kind of what you've been building at Empower Wealth and Tax, correct?
That's the truth. In fact, a lot of folks, Spike, they come into our office now, and we're seeing a lot higher and higher net worth folks. You know, I'm talking about, we've always, worked with the 1, 2, 3, 4 million, but now we're starting to see 8, 10, 15 million. And it amazes me, these folks are working with a financial advisor, most of them big box retailers, that don't do any tax planning. But how can you trust all that wealth to one advisor? I tell them you need to have a team of advisors. First of all, you need to have at least 2. You need an advisor that specializes and is an expert in IRAs, Roth IRAs, RMD distribution, charitable giving. That's one. This is a distribution involved. Then if you have your taxable accounts, okay, your regular stock bond portfolio, and you have 2, 3, 5 million in that, you have your everyday advisor, the guy or gal you've been working with for the last 5, 10, 15 years. Again, if they're local. If they're out of state, you should upgrade and take your business home here where you live. But the fact of the matter is, it's amazing how many folks have one advisor managing over $10 million in their portfolio, and they have no idea what their internal fees are. They have no idea what they're paying, and they're really becoming, in my professional opinion, underserved. Yes. So it's okay to have 2 professionals, a tax planner to do wealth management for your IRA and Roth IRA like us. like myself, like our team of CFPs. And it's okay to work with your existing advisor too. Don't be afraid to get a second opinion, folks. Come in for your portfolio x-ray. Let us run a Morningstar report and a comprehensive portfolio observation and review. We will show you things you never believed were possible. Most importantly, you can't fix something unless you know it's broke and where it's broke. Right, Spike?
855-348-5157 is the toll-free number for you to call. We have folks standing by. If you're listening to the radio right now, you're probably listening either on the bridge, KLBJ, somewhere on Saturday or Sunday. Call the phone number right now. 855-348-5157. You can schedule your appointment. The amount of reports that you will receive at no cost from Phil and the team, unbelievable. Your Morningstar report, your tax review. We can start talking about estate planning. How do you want to not only just build and preserve your wealth, but possibly pass it on efficiently to the next generation? You focused a lot on taxes before you became this mammoth wealth management firm. And there's some things that people kind of forget about that we need to implement. And actually, charitable giving, gift giving is actually a way to be incredibly tax efficient. Some things we want to do before the end of the calendar clicks off. What's on your mind?
Yeah, well, many of the processes that we help implement for folks is for folks that are charitably inclined, for instance. Let's assume they have X amount. It doesn't matter. High 6, 7, high 7-digit retirement accounts. Many times what we'll do is once we explain what their RMDs, their required minimum distributions are going to be and how they increase at each age, many of these portfolios, Spike, their RMDs increase 5,000, 10,000, 15, 20,000 a year each year they get older. So some folks will say, well, I don't want to give that much to charity. I want to give, this is what I want to give. So what we'll do is we'll set up a plan where we'll do a slow or a medium or even a quicker Roth conversion process because we want to take a piece of that portfolio and turn it into tax-free for life, for myself, for my wife, and for at least 10 years of my kids and my grandkids. But the other piece, the other 25%, the other 50%, whatever it happens to be, depending on how charitably inclined you are and how generous you are to your charities, then we want to save that in the IRA. We don't have to convert the whole thing to a Roth. But what we'll have to do in order to remain tax-free is then, if it's a 501c3 corporation, which is a licensed charity, nonprofit, we can pay the RMD directly to the nonprofit and it escapes the client's tax return. So we want to strike a happy medium. We want to convert X amount to a Roth. We want to keep that for ourselves and our family, our children and grandchildren, or maybe other loved ones. And then this part of the IRA, we want to save for our church. We want to save for maybe St. Jude's or whoever it happens to be, your favorite charity. It could be the local SPCA or Dogs R Us. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But as long as they're a registered 501c3, we can then pay those RMDs directly to them. While your Roth is building and growing by proper wealth management and allowing the IRA and then taking distributions from that with a maximized Social Security plan, the RMDs can circumvent the tax return by being paid directly to the 501c3.
Right. The tax planning gets to be, well, sometimes I want to say the word overwhelming for folks. And as you were just saying, even when we're doing giving, you can do that in a tax-efficient way for yourself. Rather than making a charitable contribution yourself from your own account, you can do it directly, right? You can do it directly from the account, and it keeps it from you having to pay taxes on it.
Yeah, that's correct. So many folks, they come into our office and I look at we're doing their taxes. We do hundreds and hundreds of tax returns, primarily for our clients. And we do that so they don't have to mess with it. For a basic tax return, we charge $200. So our average tax return runs between $200 and $300. And with that, we do the Roth conversion. We do a lot for our clients because we're a service company. But at any rate, you would be surprised how many people write a check to their church, to their charity directly out of their checking account, and then take the RMD in. And I asked them, I'm like, do you have a financial advisor? Yeah, I work with the guy with the Eddie guy, or I work with the Charlie guy, or whatever guy or gal. I said, well, haven't they discussed charitable contributions, paying your RMD directly to the charity? No, the subject never came up. Did they talk about Roth conversions? How your RMDs, when you reach your early and mid 80s, these RMDs are going to be over 100,000 plus per year. How to make sure that the government's not taxed, because that RMD gets taxed at the highest, whatever that highest level is, based on the bracket you're in. No, we haven't discussed that. They told me to check with my tax attorney, my CPA. Well, I don't have a tax attorney or CPA, and this is what makes me so frustrated, because these guys and gals earn millions from these clients, and they are just
and then they're not talking about
underserved.
the tax efficiency. They're not talking about
You have to. See, here's the thing, folks. Understand something. When you work with an advisor while you were accumulating money in your 401k, 403b, 457, any qualified plan, you were in an area called accumulation mode. You were accumulating assets for retirement. Guess what? When you get ready to go into the retirement, when you're in a retirement red zone, that's 5 to 10 years. You've already paid in. You've paid your dues. You're coming down the home stretch. You know, you're 20 yards out. If we're using if we're first and goal, if we're using a football analogy. Now you need a distribution planning specialist. A distribution planning specialist is a tax advisor and a wealth manager, and handles the pensions and other benefits that you need, such as long-term care and so forth. You need both. Accumulating is one. We got you there. They got you there. Great. Now we need a distribution specialist. Why, Phil? Because I don't want to give it all back to the IRS. I've paid enough taxes while I was working. So if your current advisor is not talking to you about distribution, tax efficient retirement income planning, guess what, folks? Wow. In all probability, you're with the wrong advisor. You need a second opinion.
Right. It's holistic planning. It's all of these elements together. It's not just using your own 401k or 457 or 403b or TSP or your own investment account and then going to your CPA and then maybe talking to your lawyer about how do we start creating our estate planning, all under one roof is what the team at Empower Wealth and Tax does. And this has been the genesis of your career. I mean, you focused on the taxes for a part of your career. As you've expanded the team, now it's as many different elements as you can, bringing this all together for folks. And for our radio listeners, those watching on the video on the YouTube channel here, doesn't that make sense for you? If you're serious about retirement planning, if you've accumulated that wealth and you're wondering, what do I do next? That's what the team is for. Call that phone number, 855-348-5157. That's 855-348-5157. Or from YouTube, you can hop over, if you want to, over to the website, empoweringretirement.com. That's empoweringretirement.com. So many free tools there. Amen. To keep this conversation going, things that we want to do for our taxes before the end of the year comes up. I was reading on, so the maximizing your retirement contributions. I'm hoping that our listeners, late 50s, early 60s, hopefully they're in their high earning years, they're already doing that. But do you feel this is the strongest way, the best way to really start maximizing their wealth? As you were saying, in that retirement red zone, getting closer, do we want to be putting $30,500 into our retirement accounts over the age of 50? Or if we're earning over those six figures, should we be looking at some other tools on the outside as well?
Yeah, it's really an all the above approach. I want to put in actually when I take a look at it, depending on what the client wants to accomplish, coming into the red zone, you folks should be switching your retirement plans, your contributions to the 401k over to the Roth 401k, the Roth SEP IRA, the Roth Simple IRA. Most of what we're seeing is most of the folks have 90% of their wealth sitting in an IRA, 401k, or qualified plan. The other 10% is sitting outside of it. And many folks have literally nothing in. They're basically, folks, what I'm saying is there are three types of accounts to save in. Your government taxable account, that means I won't tax you now, I'll tax you later. Trust me, it won't be that high. We're talking about 401ks, IRAs, and the like. Your taxable accounts. That's your CDs, money markets, mutual funds outside of your IRA. And the reason they call it taxable accounts, folks, is because you get a 1099 or a K1 at the end of the year based on the earnings in these accounts. Okay, that's 100% taxable, not long-term capital gains, ordinary income tax. Then the third account would be your tax-free accounts. That would be life insurance, distributions, life insurance policy loans, IULs. But most of all, my very favorite, since I'm an Ed Slott Mastery Lead IRA advisor for 18 years, is the Roth IRA. Now, if you do not have symmetry and if you do not have balance in that IRA and that Roth IRA, I'm going to tell you straight out, you're not retiring tax efficiently. And if you're working with a professional financial advisor, wealth management, and they are not coaching you and helping you understand what your estimated RMDs are going to be down the road, 5 years, 10, 15, 20 years, they're not doing you a service. You're being underserved. So with this respect, this is why I built this company, Spike, and thank God we're getting ready to hit this year. We we have a couple more months to go, but it was 2005 I started the company, and man, it's 2025, and
wow.
it's grown beyond our wildest imagination. The amount of service and pro bono work we do is amazing, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun helping people. It's like being a kid at Christmas, opening up this beautiful gift, and you see the glow in the eyes of when we run a Morningstar report and a portfolio observation, and these folks get to open up their portfolio and actually see what's inside of it, it's an epiphany. And it's wonderful being able to provide this service, especially since it's pro bono and complimentary. Our home office out in Phoenix, that team of certified financial planners that put these Morningstar report and Quanti report and so forth together, they're simply amazing. I came up with this idea about 20 years ago that every portfolio needs a Morningstar report run at least once every 2 to 3 years, and it fell on deaf ears with many folks, except the folks from Foundations and the folks from Magellan Financial. And insurance and financial services. They were like, you know what, Phil, that's a darn good idea. And now guess what? We're doing it coast to coast. And folks are loving the education. You can't settle for that. Don't worry about it. I know what I'm doing. I'm a trained professional nonsense. I call it lip service. Show it to me. I want it to be documentable. Okay, I want it to be, and I also want to be able to see it. I want to be quantifiable as well. And teach me. I'm not a dodo. I am intelligent. Okay, so with that being said, we love teaching clients, and they love learning.
Yeah. Today we're talking about some of the things, that we just want to make sure doing tax-wise before the end of the year. These two things could be coupled together, actually, three things. So you were just saying the charitable contributions. Also want to make sure that we properly take our RMDs. Those are usually reported from the account companies you have, but also Roth conversion. So RMD and Roth are a lot more tied together to me. Is it just as important as maybe you were saying 6 months ago to be looking at the Roth conversions if the current administration that will be coming in January keeps their own tax cuts? Are you just as fervent about the Roth conversion right now?
We have a 4-year furlough. The Trump's Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which reduced income taxes in every bracket between 20 and 25%, is alive and well until 2028. Whether they'll be able to make it permanent is highly unlikely because it seems, and we learned this through this last administration, they think that they can sign anything into law through an executive order, whether it's legal or illegal. They're like, we're going to sign it and do it anyway, and then take us to court. We're going to Supreme, and by the time that happens 2 or 3 years later, the public seems to be on the, I'm going to say, paying end of the spectrum, not on the receiving end. But at any rate, we do have 4 years. So I told folks, even if you didn't start doing Roth conversions yet, get in there. It's time to give us a call. Let us at least show you the way and help you develop a plan. Whether you work with us or you don't, we want to educate. We want to give back to the community. Learned a long time ago, if you treat people the way you want to be treated, you never go wrong in life. My dad taught me that as a young man, 6, 7, 8 years old, and it stuck, and he was absolutely right. God rest his soul. So that's what we want to do. We want to help you. We want to give back to the community. We have plenty. We want to help the community that is being underserved through lack of education with respect to distribution planning in retirement.
I know you know all the laws very well. I've always disliked this phrase, the April 1 following the year you turn, well, it used to be 70 and a half. That one was ridiculous. But now it's April 1 of the year after they turn 73. It's of the year after they turn 73. What does that mean? Does that mean in the year of 73? Or is that still the year after you turn the... Gosh, it confuses me.
This is what it means. If you're not careful, you're going to be forced to take 2 RMDs in 1 year, and it's going to blow up your tax bracket. If you do not take this RMD in the proper year, the first year, you could be stuck taking one in April and then having to take another one. So you'll end up having to take 2 RMDs in 1 year. I've seen it happen. Again, unfortunately, that's when, I've seen it happen when folks work with a less than knowledgeable financial advisor. And again, they cover their backs. They say, oh, well, I told you to check with your financial professional. Well, you know what? If you're a financial advisor and you're not a tax professional too, guess what? Maybe you missed your calling. Because if you can't do taxes and help people with their taxes in retirement, again, you're underserving your clients. Shame
taxes,
on you.
Yeah,
Go back to school. Get the education.
Are one of those things that really, really help you maximize your dollars. And talking about this and doing it properly isn't a bad thing. I just got to say, Phil, sometimes people feel bad about talking about money, or should I really take a tax break from a charitable contribution? No, this is your money. This is the tax code. We're just helping you play the game properly, legally.
Yes. Yes, see, that withdrawing the RMD, folks, what Spike was alluding to, and let me be a little more clear, is the year that you turn 73, you have to take an RMD by April 1st of that year after you turn 73. Well, the age was 72, and when they turned, if they turned before December 31st, it was a different issue. After that first withdrawal, owners must take an annual RMD by December 31st of each year. So by taking it April 1st, what happens is you could, and I've seen this, your first and second RMD are taken in separate years. You got to take them in separate years, or it can reduce your overall tax liability for a 2-year period. All in all, what are we saying? I know it's complicated. Spike knows it's complicated. That's why you got to pick up the phone and give us a call and come in for a one-on-one interview. Let's talk about it. If you have enough wealth that you believe you might have a tax problem, you do. You have a tax problem. You just don't know where it lies. I have a very close CPAs that I work with. And we actually hold classes for CPA. It was wonderful. One of the best CE credits that I ever did back in 2006 and 7, Spike, was the meeting of Ed Slott and Company. I was back in Group 5, and I became an Ed Slott Elite Advisor. And then after 2 years, you become a Master Elite Advisor. Well, every twice a year, we have to test out. We have to take a 20-question test to make sure that Ed understands that his advisors know what the heck they're talking about. So I thought that this would last for 2 or 3 years, and here we are in our 18th year. I feel like an old veteran, but I'm not old. How did they put it? I'm a young man. I'm a young man in a middle-aged or older body, just trying to break out of it, right? But the fact of the matter is, when you're working with a distribution specialist who's an IRA Master Elite Advisor, every time the government passes his new laws, okay, we get to tell you about it. To give you, for instance, okay, they just passed a law in July, this current administration, July of 2024. They said you can't do Roth conversions. Listen to this. You can't do a Roth conversion okay, unless you've taken your RMD first. Now, that was never the case. What they're saying now is for all of these folks, because what we do with Roth conversion, Spike, I meet with our clients in the first quarter. I want to do a Roth conversion in the beginning of the year, so all of that money, the money that we converted, along with all of the other money in their Roth account, can earn tax-free returns, especially in a golden opportunity year like 2025, 2026, and hopefully through 28. And then we do it again in the third quarter, because what we want to leave a little leeway, because we don't want to affect a client's Medicare B IRMA or put them in that 32% tax bracket. So we want to do it strategically. We want to do part in the beginning and then part in the end. Well, now, by saying that you have to take the RMD, now, we don't have a problem with it, but the fact of the matter is they passed this law effective January 2024, and they tell us about it July 2024. Now, you ask your own advisor, do they know what the heck I'm talking about? And chances are 90% of them are going to say no, they don't know. How did I learn it? Ed Slott. I get the newsletter. That's another thing, folks. If you're not signed up for our newsletter, we send out 2 newsletters each and every week. You're really missing the boat. Go online, come on in. We'll sign you up for the newsletter. We have a tax newsletter and a wealth management newsletter. What do you think of that newsletter, Spike?
Oh, I love it. You have so many different tools. So some of the ways you can get a hold of it, first go to empoweringretirement.com. That's empoweringretirement.com. It's that simple. For those listening on the radio, you can call the phone number. We'll get you in touch with all of the tools. 855-348-5157. We'll get you started on a tax-efficient plan for your retirement. Maximize your own dollars. Be tax efficient. All of the different ways that the team here has tried to figure out how to get us up. The Roth conversions, making sure that we're maximizing the Social Security by not having to pay taxes on it. There's just so many different ways. He tells the story about your large party that you throw with all these hundreds of people that don't have to pay heavy taxes in their retirement that you do over at Horseshoe Bay. It's one of my favorite things that you've got at the end of the year, that whole tax-free retirement party. Folks, call that phone number if you want to be part of it. 855-348-5157. That's 855-348-5157. You're listening to Retire Smart Austin Radio and Phil Capriotti Sr.